Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're taking a close look at the hidden heroes of industrial pipelines. I mean, just think about the sheer mechanical power it takes to reliably stop high-pressure fluid dead in its tracks. In some cases, we're talking about holding back pressure that's literally equivalent to the thrust of a jet engine. It's not magic, right? It's just pure, unadulterated engineering. So today, we are breaking down the gate valve. We're going to explore its working principles, tear apart its components, and then walk step by step through the rigorous maintenance procedures you need to keep these heavy-duty industrial stalwarts functioning safely. Let's get into it. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by meeting the gate valve, look at how it works, weigh the advantages and limitations, go over a solid maintenance procedure, and wrap up with troubleshooting common problems.
Okay, let's dive right in with Section 1. Meet the gate valve, the basics.
Listen, if you take away just one single concept from this entire explainer, let it be this definition right here. A gate valve is a linear motion valve, and it's used strictly to start or stop fluid flow. I always like to think of it like a portcullis in a medieval castle. When that heavy iron gate is raised up, the entire army can march right through. But when it drops, nobody gets in. It's an all-or-nothing piece of machinery. It is designed entirely for fully open or fully closed service. It is absolutely not recommended for throttling. That means you can't use it to just casually dial back the flow a little bit. It's either 100% on or 100% off. Trust me, if you try to bend this rule, the incredible forces involved will literally destroy the valve from the inside out.
So to understand how it achieves that total shutoff against such massive pressure, we got to look at its anatomy. Starting at the top, you have the hand wheel, which connects directly to the stem. Now that stem passes down through the bonnet and the body of the valve, linking up to the main mechanism itself, the gate, which you'll sometimes hear called the wedge or the disc. Inside the body, we have the seat rings. The gate seals perfectly against these rings. And finally, to keep all that highly pressurized fluid from just shooting up the stem and completely ruining your day, we have the packing and gland. Every single one of these components has to work in perfect harmony for the whole thing to operate safely.
Moving right along to Section 2, how gate valves work, focusing on the mechanics. This brilliantly illustrates the elegance of linear motion. Let's look at the opening operation first. When you rotate that hand wheel counterclockwise, you're creating this really powerful upward mechanical force. The stem moves vertically up, and it lifts that heavy metal gate entirely away from the seat. Because the gate is pulled completely out of the way, fluid just flows freely right through the valve body. You get minimal pressure loss. It's practically a straight shot. Conversely, to close it, you rotate the hand wheel clockwise. That drives the stem vertically downward. The gate drops down and presses incredibly firmly against those valve seats. Once it's seated, boom, the flow is completely, decisively stopped. Up and down. It's a wonderfully simple action, but man, is it effective when you're dealing with massive industrial fluid dynamics. Of course, no piece of engineering is perfect for every single scenario, right? Let's look at Section 3, advantages and limitations. What's really interesting here is how the advantages directly create the limitations. Because that gate lifts completely out of the way, you get full flow with a very low pressure drop. That's a huge plus. It has excellent shutoff capability, it handles high temp and high pressure situations with ease, and it even allows for bidirectional flow. But that sheer physical mass comes at a cost. Moving a heavy gate linearly just takes time. Opening and closing is inherently a slow process. And we really have to reiterate the golden rule here. It is absolutely not suitable for throttling. Why? Well, if you leave a gate valve partially open for long periods, the high-velocity fluid rushing past that tiny restricted opening acts like a hydro cutter. It will cause severe seat damage and erosion, basically rendering the valve completely useless the next time you actually need it to do its job and stop the flow. Because these valves handle such intense conditions on a daily basis, taking care of them is serious business. Let's step into the technician's shoes for Section 4, the maintenance procedure. We can break this down into 10 critical steps. Step 1, as always, is safety preparation. High pressure is incredibly unforgiving. Do not even look at a wrench until you've obtained your work permit, isolated the valve, depressurized and drained the line, and applied proper lockout/out, or LOTO. And naturally, get your PPE on. Step 2 is your external inspection. Just look for the obvious troublemakers: body leakage, bonnet leakage, or that classic packing gland leakage. Check for corrosion, a damaged hand wheel, or loose fasteners. Step 3 is an operational check. Before you go tearing the whole thing apart, operate the valve fully open and fully closed. You're feeling for smooth movement and listening for any unusual noise. You also want to note if it takes excessive torque just to turn the wheel.
Okay, once you've safely assessed the exterior, we move to the teardown. Step 4 is disassembly. You're going to remove the hand wheel and those bonnet bolts. Then carefully lift the bonnet and stem assembly out and remove the gate to access the guts of the valve. That brings us to step 5, inspection. This is the absolute heart of the process. You really need to meticulously look for wear and erosion on the gate and the seat rings. Check your stem threads, check the packing condition, look closely at the bonnet gasket, and evaluate the internal surface of the body itself. Step 6 is cleaning. Use an approved solvent to clean all the components you just inspected. You've got to get all the rust, scale, and debris off, and then make absolutely sure every single part is dried thoroughly before you move to the next phase.
All right, now we build it all back up. Step 7 is the replacement of worn parts. If your inspection found damage, now is the time to replace the packing, the gasket, the stem, the gate, the seat rings, you name it. Here's a quick pro tip. Never ever reuse a compromised gasket just to save a few bucks. You're just asking for a messy packing gland leak later. It's totally not worth the headache. Step 8 is lubrication. Apply the recommended lube to the stem threads and bearings so that linear motion stays buttery smooth. Step 9 is reassembly. Install the gate and stem, lay down your brand new gasket, refit the bonnet, and tighten down the bolts using the proper torque sequence. Don't just crank them down randomly or you'll warp the seal. Finally, adjust the gland packing. And step 10 is the final sign-off, testing. You have to perform a rigorous hydrostatic leak test to check for body and bonnet leaks. Follow that up with a functional test, opening and closing the valve a few times to verify everything seals and moves properly. Once it passes, congratulations, you've successfully revived an industrial workhorse.
But hey, the reality of industrial pipelines is that even with perfect maintenance, things are occasionally going to go wrong. Let's look at our final section, troubleshooting common problems. When things do go sideways, you can usually tie the symptoms right back to the anatomical components we explored earlier. If you're getting valve leakage, the most likely culprit is a worn seat or gate. The fix is simple in theory, but labor-intensive. You've got to tear it down and repair or replace that seat or gate. What if the stem is just super hard to operate? Well, you're likely looking at a simple lack of lubrication. Clean it up and re-lubricate the stem threads. Now, if you spot packing leakage, which is fluid escaping straight up the stem, it's usually a loose gland or damaged packing material. Try tightening the gland first. If that doesn't work, you've got to replace the packing entirely. Finally, if the valve just won't fully close, whatever you do, don't force it. The cause is almost always debris trapped in the seat area. Forcing it will just crush that debris right into the metal and cause permanent seat damage. The proper remedy? Tear it down, clean it out, and thoroughly inspect that seating surface.
These linear motion workhorses are so simple in their concept, but they are absolutely vital in execution. Just a single failure in maintenance or a basic misunderstanding of that strict no throttling rule can compromise an entire system. We're talking about potential catastrophic blowouts or stopping multi-million-dollar operations completely dead in their tracks. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. How much pressure is riding on a single, well-maintained seat ring in your system right now? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.